Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. And today, of course, I'm not alone. I'm always with some amazing human being with me here, especially last few weeks. So it's really enjoyable time. And today I'm speaking with Layci, and it's funny how we met actually on her podcast. And
Yes.
we had this amazing vibe in a room, even with your assistant. Oh my God, we had this best conversation and laugh and smile. It was such a beautiful alignment with our work, what we believe in, our
Mhm.
values. And I was like, you need to come. You need to come to share your wisdom.
Mhm.
You need to come to share with my audience what you do, because I think they can find so much value in your experience, because we are always doing the same thing, but we are doing, working with different people. So there's
Right.
always that learning curve. So I'm really happy to have you here, Lacey, and welcome to this space.
Thank you. What a gracious introduction. Thank you so much. I definitely felt the common vibe, the aligned values, and I am just thrilled to get to have another great conversation with you. So, thank
Yes.
you for having me to your podcast home.
Then this is great. And now I can ask you questions. So I'm really happy for that. So,
Yes.
Lacey, for everyone who is listening, first, probably let us know a little bit about you, because we are on a different continents. So it will be nice to hear
Right.
what you do, where you are at, and what is the major thing that you're helping people with.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're based in the United States, and I'm in Washington State, not DC, and other side of the continent. And what we do, I am the president and the founder of the Transcend Leadership Collective. And what we do at the Transcend Leadership Collective is help leaders through coaching, really specified trainings, and workshops figure out what it takes to be a leader that's actually worthy of being followed, how to develop those skill sets that make up leadership. Because leadership is often touted as a skill you need to learn, and that is very misleading. Leadership is not one skill. It is a whole stack of skills that you compile in alignment with your values. You then deploy them, and that is what leadership is. And so helping people to understand that and then learn how to lead in alignment with who their authentic selves, and really, like I said, become worthy of actually being followed. It doesn't matter what our title is. It doesn't matter what the door says. It doesn't matter um, if we have even been deemed formally a leader or not. Leadership isn't happening if you look behind you and no one's there. So it really is a skill that can be honed and developed. And we do it because, yes, it's great for the leaders, it's great for the company, but the real heart of what we're doing and why we're doing it is because we believe every human being, no matter where they're at in the company, deserves the opportunity to go to work every day and be motivated, engaged, and inspired, and really honored and respected as the full human beings that they are, regardless of where their level of influence is at within the organization. So everything we do, we design, we teach, we coach, we encourage. We think about it from the perspective of how is this impacting the least influential person in the organization? And if we can nail that, if we can teach to that, coach to that, capture that in a positive way, that is when the real solid work starts to get done.
And I love what you said. Thank you so much. This is such a great, like, kind of ground for for starting to ask questions, because you said a lot of different things that I really agree with. And that first one was that leadership is actually just not just skill; it's actually your alignment with who you are and
Mhm.
leading from that space. And I think there is. I found it very strange when people say that I want to be authentic leader, and they think authenticity is just to show people emotion, right? Like that's it.
Right.
And I think that's where it's that misalignment that actually the
Hmm.
CEO or maybe owner of the company sometimes is languaging their
Hmm.
leadership team, how you need to be more authentic. And they're like,
Right.
you don't even know what does that mean. So I will probably touch on that. So can you tell us more about that? Like, what is the authentic leadership?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It is often misunderstood. I agree with you 1,000,000%. It is not walking around crying, yelling, showing all of your emotion, whatever you're feeling.
It's not.
Um, that's not vulnerability either.
So,
So it is what authentic leadership is it is first of all, you cannot lead if you don't know where your center is and your core is. You can't. But you can't do it well, and it's not sustainable. So you need to understand not your company's core values, not your company's mission and purpose. You need to know if you even align with that. And you can't do that until you understand your own. So what are those principles that are so close, that I hold so dear to me, that help me guide and make decisions in life? And those, I think we often think, oh, there's core values. We hear that term thrown around, and I think it gets overused and not really understood what it means. Or let's take a step back and go back to foundations. Like, what are core values? Core values, we can fall into the trap of saying the aspirational, what we
yeah,
think or what we think we should say. But all the research shows us there's actually no magic combination of the right core values. Where the magic comes in is having the honesty with yourself to really drill in and understand what your core values are, limit them to 3 to 5 maximum. If you have a list of 12, they don't mean anything. Three
yeah.
is really what I make my clients go to 3. But figuring out what those core values are, the way that you navigate your way through the world, and what are they truly, not just what are they aspirationally. Don't say integrity because you think everyone's supposed to say integrity.
We
They,
shouldn't even talk about that. If you don't have integrity, you shouldn't be even probably in the company, or yeah, like you will look at who you're going to hire, right? Like integrity is,
right.
I believe we should be born with, even though it's not true, but we should.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really encourage people to understand that. And then even deeper than that. So once you get your own and you go, okay, they don't need to match the organization that I'm working for, but they need to not be misaligned or in opposition. So if you're someone who really highly values freedom, you're probably not going, like personal freedom, ability to come and go and have a lot of creativity in your work. You're probably not going to do well in an environment where those are not things that they value. And in fact, they value showing up, time in the seat, putting in the hours,
Control,
they
yeah.
the control, right? So those are either of them more right than the other? Well, I certainly don't want someone operating a nuclear facility that that thinks they can do it from home and just kind of how they feel like it, right? But I need to know as a person, if I'm going into that environment, like, that might not be the right choice for me. So until we know ourselves on that real level, we don't even know where we need to show up because
Yeah.
we don't understand ourselves. So like, and then we make it the problem of, oh, that place was bad. Well, sometimes, yes, there are horrible workplaces with toxic environments. 100% happens. And also, oftentimes people go in and they're completely misaligned and they don't even know it because they're out of touch with themselves. And you can't lead authentically if you don't know who you authentically are.
Yeah, and I love what you said because I'm going back to when I was looking for the job, and it was ages ago. And honestly, I wasn't looking on the job position because I wasn't sure. And I just want to say that because I think a lot of people when we look at the leadership, but when we look at just that authenticity, right, or being in the
Right.
right place, being aligned with values, because I love that conversation and love the topic because it is basically emotional compass, right? Like when we don't live based
Yeah.
on values, we just get shredded into pieces and we don't feel
Yes.
happy, we feel unhappy, and we complain and we blame, and we are angry. So I feel
Yep.
like being aligned with values has place in every space, in leadership, in having company, being employer. And when I was looking for
Yes.
the job, I remember I was looking at a different position, but I was like, I don't know even what the position means, right? Because usually
Yeah.
you don't know, because today in today's environment, you don't even know what kind of manager you are, and you ended up cleaning something, in the office before.
Right.
So
Right.
so it becomes a little bit messy. So I was looking at like what I know myself, what I want was I don't want to be in an office because I can't
Yeah.
stand to be 8 hours a day in the same desk, and it's just going to kill me. And
Same.
that was the only thing I knew, right? And I was like,
Right.
I need freedom. I want to travel. I want to speak
Yes.
English in my job. And that was back home in Europe. So I was kind of looking like I don't know what I'm looking for. But
Right.
but it was like this only one job that was standing out, and only what I saw was 75% traveling, 25% office. And I was like, that's
Mm.
my job. And I said, I don't have any idea what the job description means,
Yeah,
but I'm going to apply. And I applied, and it was the best ever job in my life. So
I love that.
so it was such a, weird way to look for work, but
Yeah.
this is for everyone, right? Like if you know yourself, you know you can't stand one
Yes.
thing or another thing, don't go there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Be true to yourself. Yeah.
And I think also one of the it's so interesting. I was having a conversation with my colleague today. We were on our way back from together, carpooling together. I love car talk time. And we were talking about our own journeys of figuring out where we had been misaligned. And she said, she had shared that she was just really, it took her a long time to figure out that she needed to stop looking for the right job and start looking for the right values at the workplace and a boss she wanted to work for. Like
Mm.
that is what had, and what the job wasn't nearly as important if there was core value alignment.
Yeah.
And she really was like, I want to learn a lot from this person that's going to be my boss. And for her, that was a game changer in figuring out how to actually thrive in work and not have it feel like something she was just wading through
Okay.
and surviving. And
Yeah.
it also, I think when we learn in this journey of understanding ourselves first, how do you lead from a place of authenticity, to take it back to that? It's also understanding and having a grasp of your core sense of purpose. Not, you don't have to have the answer to the big question, why are we here?
Yeah.
But it's understanding um kind of a version of that, but more about looking back in your own life and looking for patterns, like all the way
Yeah.
from childhood, looking for patterns in your life about what are the things that have lit me up in the best way, gotten me excited or passionate or maybe even angry over and over and over again. What has elicited, where are those patterns at? And so in my own journey of figuring that out, I immediately, like, I say immediately, this was like a year long process. It felt immediate now in hindsight, but really thinking about, where did I see that? A couple of things popped up for me. I grew up in a trailer court in Washington State, and very low income, was on all the public benefits, just very much fit a lot of the stereotypes from the outside of somebody that's growing up in a trailer court in America. And so,
Yeah.
I I definitely look back and I look at what were the things that I really, really valued, and that I can trace all the way back. And even growing up as a kid that could have been dismissed easily, it was this solid, rock solid belief that no one, myself included in this equation, but
Yeah.
my peers, the people around me, my siblings, no one deserves to be dismissed because of a stereotype or because of something
Yeah.
that
Love
you're
that.
thinking. Everyone has value, everyone matters, and everyone is smart. Like I would watch these men and women come home from work,
Mm.
and they would feel so defeated and depleted, and I didn't have all the language and the understanding, but
Yeah.
I knew that they didn't, like, I registered like they don't like their jobs, like they hate their jobs. And looking back going, oh, they didn't feel valued. Like they felt very disrespected and just a cog in the machine. And these are people that are doing some of the most important work that keeps us fed. They're harvesting our crops. They're on the packing lines, packing our food. They're in the slaughterhouses. They're fixing our cars. They're painting stripes on the road. Like these are jobs that make our country, our city run. They make it run and they're so vital. And they would come home just feeling completely beat up and they hated work and they felt undervalued. And then I'd watch them talk and listen. And I've always been in like, I've always loved people. And so I've always,
Great.
uh, and I would listen to them and I would also just observe how smart they were.
Mm.
Like they would figure out I'm not mechanically minded, but I would watch them take apart a car and put it back together and I'm like, that's amazing. So, um so just that all of that compounded, right, into
Yeah.
me understanding like this fierce feeling of everyone matters. No, everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves someone who sees that, and it has to be seized on. It has to be taken up on the other side, right? It is a two-way street, but people deserve the opportunity to even go down the street. They need to see it. They need to know it's there, and um, that in me and I hated bullies. I have always hated bullies. Standing up for that, for
Mhm.
everyone to be valued, everyone to know that they matter. Like that was a pattern that emerged in me from a tiny age, and just never left. And
Yeah.
so it took me a while to figure it all out. And it doesn't always have to be like that purpose part doesn't always have to be people centric. It can be artists. Like there's some artists that just have this amazing ability to see beauty in the world and pull
Yeah.
beauty out.
Mm. Yeah.
And yeah, so
It's almost like
that,
understand your genius, your center. When you say center, right? Like understanding who we
yes,
are in the core. And I think when you ask
yes,
that question, just understand what is lighting us up, right? Like what makes us
yeah,
actually being happier or excited a little bit or
yeah,
just feeling good about something, you know, and
yeah,
people forget about that. People just go through the job to the or through jobs. And
right,
after 20 years, 30 years, they realize they don't know what their hobbies are. They don't know what they like.
right,
If they have holiday, they're like, I don't even know what to do on holiday, so I'm just going to probably sit down in a pool or just do some sport because sport is usually a lot of I believe avoidance as well. And I love sport, like don't
mm-hmm,
take it wrong. But some people just can't sit still, so they start to do
right,
activity, right? So keep themselves
right,
busy. So I feel like all that what you're saying is so important in so many circles or industries or circumstances, or like
yeah,
settings that we should all know about that knowing ourselves is so important and it is the core to everything or is the
yeah,
start to everything. And you said another thing that I love, and you said, building up not skill, but building up that awareness probably about
mm-hmm,
how people will or when people actually follow you, right? Like when they will start to follow you. If
yes,
you are
yes,
not knowing who you are, that means your probably message out there is probably different all the time because you don't know what you stand for, what you believe in, and you're just taking on board different opinions from different people. So you are
mm-hmm,
actually a mess, right? Because you actually
yep,
didn't sit down and didn't figure out what I stand for, what is important to me. So I
mm-hmm,
feel like definitely people can't follow you. So what is that you believe is the source or right combination of things? I know values, you will say the same thing. I know values are important, but
mm-hmm,
what are the other additional parts of skill set or
yeah.
characteristics or things that will actually make us be or become a leader?
Yes, great follow-up. So knowing those things we just talked about, the next thing, now what? Okay, I got that. I figured out. I put in the time.
I know my
So,
values.
yes. So the you want to be somebody that makes the person across from you feel like they are the most interesting and important person in the room. And that has to come authentically. If you're faking that,
Yeah, good
it's not
luck.
going to work. Yeah,
Good
they're going
luck.
to know, right? Like they're going to know it's not real, but if you need to get to the place where you can truly have genuine curiosity about people. And when you're curious and you want to know their story and you want to know you want to understand what they think and it's not coming from a place of because I want to be right or because I want to win an argument or because I want you to think I'm important.
Yeah.
But if you can genuinely just be interested in other people and approach them with curiosity and ask the questions of more the deeper questions than where do you work? Well, that's a good start, I guess, but you know, what do you consider your hometown? What's the favorite place you visited? The things that let them know like they're interested in more about me than what I represent as a potential opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Because I think we're in such a transactional world that we often our guard goes up very quickly
Yeah.
when we feel like people just want something from us.
Yeah, because we focus on outcome, what doesn't make sense in a meeting when you are with someone that you don't know, right? So
Right.
how you can have outcome in mind, and that was the old learning or teachings in sales, for example, sales techniques,
Right.
just remove all objections, think about the outcome in your mind. It's like, no, that's not how connection works. It's actually
Right. Right. And people smell that a mile away. Like it really doesn't relate. I think the more and more we see technology evolving, we see social media evolving, the more and more hunger there is for genuine connection. And the quicker people are starting to smell it, to sniff it out when it is fake. And so our very humanity is what is going to continue to set us apart as people that are
yeah.
worthy of being followed in an even more hyper way than it has before. So, approaching people with curiosity, being a good listener, those are a really good place to start. I mean, then there's also classic things about, okay, so they have to listen to me, right? But no, you need to listen to them. So, being a good listener, listen to them well, ask good questions, um, ask for their opinions. Yes.
I can hear one thing that I know that part of my audience or even my like clients, because they are always left brainers, right? Like very analytical people, very C energies when you look at the disc perspective.
Yeah.
It's the missing part is actually their question will be, but what if I don't care about people, right? So
Right.
I
Right.
can I can see that coming, because they are so busy and so in that space of tech or analysis or
Mhm.
moving
Mhm.
forward, that they kind of feel like they don't care. But I don't believe it's true, right? So I will ask you
Yeah.
probably. So what if you meet these kind of people? Because I'm sure you're working with this type of
Oh
people.
yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, I love C's. They're fun.
Yeah.
I love it because I'm just so not wired that way. So I get super curious
Yeah.
because it's fun for me. I'm like, ooh, I want to learn how you work. Um,
Yeah, so
and
explain it
so
to me. How are you making that?
yes, yes. And they can do exactly the same thing. So someone that's there's a framework to think about people called philosophies of value, and it's just another framework like DISC or something else, but
Yeah.
it is figuring out what is it that helps people, uh how do people tick, right? And how do they deem something as having value? So there's a pragmatist, which is very task oriented. They're to the point. They want efficiency. They're typically like your D's on a disc assessment are going to fall into that.
Yeah.
Sometimes your I's are going to fall into that as well. If they're high D, high I, like let's get stuff done. Let's check off the box. There's a humanist, which is definitely going to be the high I, the high. They're all about how is this gonna, they value something dependent on how is it gonna affect people I care about.
Yeah.
So, and then you have your intellectualists, which are usually also C's on the disc. And
Yeah.
intellectualists are all about process, and they have to believe in and trust the formula that which with which the outcome was arrived at. If they don't trust the formula, forget it. They don't care. The outcome's invalid because the formula is wrong.
Yeah.
And so the intellectualists are very drawn to things like accounting and tech and coding and things where all that detail is absolutely that plays out, that truth plays out.
Yeah.
Every single thing matters in the formula.
Yeah.
And they get impatient and frustrated with people that feel, why are you pushing so hard? The data's not ready, or we don't know yet what that outcome is going to be for the
So they
pragmatist.
become a little bit inflexible. Yeah. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And it can feel, they can actually definitely come across as people like they don't care about people, because they can come across as sometimes um not intended, but as arrogant or aloof or like condescending, even of like, oh, well, you're clearly, they're very analytical and
Yeah.
you're clearly
You
an
can
idiot
see what
if
I
you're
see.
not. So, um, and the the beauty of when you are wired that way, like, don't let society tell you that means that you don't care about people. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we buy into the messaging because we've been told that, especially we come out with this wiring typically, like since we were tiny, we've probably had some of these traits. And so don't buy that. First of all, don't let someone else prescribe for you if you care about people or not. So also, no one's ever purely one type. You
Yeah.
have some humanist in you.
Oh,
You have some caring, and you have all the letters of the disc just at different rates, right? But we lock ourselves into these boxes.
yeah.
And so, someone that is truly learning how to lead with authenticity understands their default settings. Like, what do I go to when I'm not trying? Like, when I'm not putting in the work? We
Yeah.
understand our default settings. And if we're like a high C and we know that's our default, well, our work is to lean into, I've got these other pieces of myself. They're just not as strong, but they're there. So instead of just leaning into, well, that's not who I am. No, I've got that in me. And if I want to connect with this person, or if I want this idea to flourish, and I just keep hammering away with why the formula is wrong, it is not going to matter. I'm never going to be fully heard. They're not going to understand me. And the resistance I feel can feel like, well, I don't like people because they don't like me, because I try to tell them what's not going to work and they just take it as criticism. You've probably heard
Yeah.
some of that. And so it's it's learning that if you can reframe the way that you are trying to onboard people to your ideas, to be able to address what's important to them, you're going to have a whole nother level of reception.
Yeah.
So I use the example, I think every organization at some point has experienced a schedule change, right? This is really dramatic in like shift work or hospital settings, but all of us have experienced at some point maybe a shift in hours. And your pragmatist is going to say, the response to that is going to be like, just tell me why. Why are we doing it? We're doing it because, oh, because the operating hours are going to be more efficient if we do it this time. It's going to affect this. Great. That's what I needed to know. The humanist is going to go, wait a minute. Barbara has to pick up her kids at 4 o'clock. So how is Barbara going to pick up her kids at 4 o'clock if you shifted this? Because their first default is the people. How's it going to affect the people? And then the intellectualist, they're going to go, how did you arrive at that as the right choice? Can you show me what studies you looked
Yeah.
at or what other
The proof.
organizations? Yes. Where's your proof? You don't have any proof that this works. Like, did you just think this was a good idea? So,
Yeah.
if you can understand that if you're trying to get people to adopt the idea, we usually drill down into why we think it's a good idea. But that's not effective in leadership. You need to be able to state all three cases.
Yeah.
So it can be, hey, everybody, let's pretend I'm a high C or an intellectualist. Hey, everyone, we actually looked at several cases. We looked at some models. We made this decision. I know that this decision around the scheduling may impact some of you when you're trying to rearrange things in your personal life that you have arranged to previous scheduling. I hear you. We'll work with you on that. We can be flexible while we get readjusted. Just come to me.
Yeah. Mm.
And finally, the for those of you that are wondering the ultimate why, because that's what, like, why'd you do it? I just want to know why you did it. Well, we did it because with this shift, the outcome is going to be we're more accessible to our partners in Australia or something.
Yeah.
So,
So there is a
and if
reason. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, and so if you can remember to frame up, I mean, that's just one framework. But if you can remember, like, oh, yeah, not everyone is wired like I am, and let go of the value judgment that one way is a better way to see the world than the others,
That's
that's the beginning.
Yeah, I think that is the problem as well. When you're actually talking about it, something pop up because when we talk about what is the the source, the right source for leadership, or become
Mm-hmm.
influential leader, authentic leader, someone that is worth to follow. I feel like those kind of things were learned the wrong way, right? Like there was EDs, there was so many different
Mm-hmm.
assessments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it started to put people in a box. So when you're
Yep.
CNN, you can't be a leader, right? Or stuff like that. And
Right.
I think what was happening in leadership as well, the leaders were basically boxing the people, right? So I will speak
Yes.
only this way with you, instead of taking that from the side that you
Mm-hmm.
just actually explained, how beautifully you communicated the message to all different energies or all different
Mm-hmm.
personalities, because I think that what leadership forgets, right? It's actually mixture of people that you have in your company, and they're
Right.
all great, they're all amazing,
Mm-hmm.
they have all different
Mm-hmm.
skills and strengths. So
Mm-hmm.
so actually your communication skills have
Mm-hmm.
to improve as a leader, right? Because I believe when you actually communicate to all of them, that's when people are,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, now I understand from all angles, right? Like I understand why we are doing
Yes.
it, I understand the statistics and proof, but I also know how it's going to influence people and how is that going to maybe connect us. What is the emotional impact, right? So if you can actually
Yes.
communicate in all different areas, I feel like that's where you will be like, wow, I'm going to actually follow you, because that totally makes sense.
Yes. Yes. People, if they know you care, and that's a way to communicate that you care and that you genuinely care, they will follow you almost anywhere once they have that proof.
Yeah.
And how we do that, how we establish that, we have so our framework, my baby, the foundation of the company, the Heart First leadership model, and that everything that we teach in our organization is underpinned with helping or people understand how to have honest communication, healthy conflict, and build cultures of acceptance, respect, and trust. All of the studies show us you can have the most beautiful operating systems, amazing strategy. You can have an absolutely killer plan for execution. All of those also important pieces, clear vision and mission, clear sense of who's accountable for what. But if you cannot communicate with one another in a way where everyone brings their voice to the table,
Mm.
people understand they can say what they need to say, people know how to listen to each other and ask questions and stop thinking one way of communicating is the right way. There's healthy and unhealthy, but they're right and wrong. There's a lot of healthy right ways that feel wrong to you if it's not your way. So it's understanding when we can do those things and have healthy conflict, the good kind, and that all the massive amounts of studies. I'm happy to send you a ton of source sheet if listeners are like, I know if you got some C's, they're like, we want these studies. We can drop them in the notes for you. But it is that is what makes the difference. That is what is critical for the high performing, amazing
Yeah.
team with these leaders that are, those leaders know how to create those expectations and set the norms. That heart first is what we do. We have honest communication, healthy conflict, build cultures of acceptance, respect, and trust.
Yeah.
That is going to have and move the needle more for you than the best operating system in the world.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying. Absolutely. I'm definitely with you on everything what you're saying. And I love how you're playing with perception, like it's not right or wrong. It's always just for me, it's right, for you, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is another kind of like area I feel like, companies really didn't spend time on setting up expectations and understanding what is actually right or wrong and why it feels right
Mm-hmm.
or wrong for you. And understanding that we are all different. We
Mm-hmm.
will always have different opinions. And the moment we are not expressing those opinions in open conversation or communication, or being able to open up, raise the concern, or say
Right.
something is not right. When I see something is not right, why I wouldn't express that, right? So I think that environment of free expression, or having
Mm-hmm.
that healthy, safe feeling, maybe feel
Yes.
safe that I can
Safety
express. Yeah.
critical.
So I think that's what I found is missing in almost every company. Honestly, just the leader tells you at a meeting with the team, no, they're all fine. We have great culture, and you
Right.
come to the meeting, and
Right.
when the leader is there or manager is there, they don't share anything, and and
Yes.
and they want to probably, or they don't want to, or, because they don't care. And I said, wow, how this is making actually great culture. So I'll probably ask you, what do you what do you find in companies? Like I know you're working with different companies, different teams, different
Hmm.
leaders.
Hmm.
So what do you find most common problem or most common thing that people see, and then they try to find someone like you and work with you. So what is that? What is triggering
We
them?
actually we actually have two extremes, which is funny because isn't that human of us, right? To have two extremes. So we'll have the leaders that are very command and control, and they've been very authoritative for a long enough time that their team is like, we don't talk, but we're going to be bobbleheads or nothing, or there's a level of disengagement. And innovation is typically really struggling in those environments because if you're
Yeah.
afraid to make mistakes, you're not going to do anything new, right? So they typically know they have a culture problem,
Hmm.
and they don't always know that it where it's coming from. 9 times out of 10, it starts at the top, and we work with the organizational leaders. But we ask the midline and the front line, what do their bosses need to know? Excuse me. Sorry. And
Okay.
from there, we get a lot of insight as to what's actually
Hmm.
going on. Because we ask, and oftentimes they don't even get asked. So we ask them, what do your bosses need to learn? What do they need to know? And we do it in an environment where the boss isn't in the room, and we do it in an environment where their first language is the language that we're speaking to them in, so their things don't get lost in translation.
Yeah.
And then the so we'll see that extreme. The other is where they're just told they feel like a cog, the common what we think of, I think when we think of like, oh, that's not a work environment I'd want to be in. They're not listened to. They don't really, everyone's just kind of like either walking on eggshells or they're just completely disengaged. And they're like, I'm just here for a paycheck. Um, The other extreme we see is the leader that has tried desperately to create this culture, and they get a lot of they're very democratic in their leadership. And
Okay.
because they're so democratic in their leadership and bringing everybody into the table, what the piece that they're lacking is they often don't make decisions quickly and firmly. And so that feels like chaos.
Hmm.
And so it's the opposite of extreme command and control.
Yeah.
It's where because they need to know that what their voice matters and that there's influence,
Yeah.
that they have influence on the leader, and the leader needs to be extremely clear of like, okay, this is going to be a democratic decision. Like I'm truly just going to go, you know what, we're going to come to or we're going to shoot for consensus on this, or I'm
Hmm.
going to gather your input and it's going to influence my decision, but I'm going to have the ultimate decision on this, and I will let you know what that is within whatever
Yeah.
amount of time.
Yeah.
And often we will see leaders that are really good at making everybody feel good, but it's taken so far, like it feels warm, it feels safe,
And nothing is moving the right
but
direction.
not exactly. Nothing's moving the right direction. And really, it feels like chaos because people
Yeah.
don't, they're like, what are we even doing? Why are we
Yeah.
having 9,000 meetings?
Yeah, and I think that's where I love one framework when we always try to understand the maturity versus freedom. So you try
Mm-hmm.
to understand when team actually can make decisions for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
what stage of maturity they are, like how where they need to grow, what they need to know.
Right.
So you need to have, I believe, like processes and a structure and
Mm-hmm.
everything to accommodate chaos, right?
Yep.
Because it's not going to be just warm relationships. And I think that's lots of time I hear that people try to understand where, as a leader, where is the boundary of being a friend and being a colleague, right? So I think
Yes.
tiny, teeny line that is there between, it's that coming to be becoming friendship, and am I going
Right.
to have any position to even lead this person, or, we just
Right.
friends? So I think that's, yeah.
Right.
What is your intake on that?
Oh man, okay, that's a great question. We get asked that one often. And actually one of our most controversial posts we ever did, which has gotten the most engagement ever, was about the statement that like you of course, you know, was to get people's engagement, but you can't be friends with people that you supervise. Like you can be friendly. That doesn't always work because especially if you're promoted into a position where you were colleagues and really good friends before, and we address that as well. But here's where the line is. Here's what also makes this difficult. What makes it difficult is there's not a formulaic answer that's going to be consistent for every person because we're all unique. But what I often direct people is, again, know yourself, understand in your own world, where do you start to cross the lines with levels of, really, there's not a better word for it, intimacy with people, where it goes from friendly colleague to, nope, this is actually the way I interact with the people on my like inner circle, like the closest in my life, or the ones that I've really let
Yeah.
into that level. I don't know what that is for you. I know what it is for me. And so, but I didn't always. I had to observe myself and figure out what is that. For some people, going out and getting drinks with their colleagues is not going to end well because they just cross those lines. It
Friendly.
becomes, yeah. For others, it's fine. They could do happy hours and dinners and it's not going to cross any sort of line. For others, it's what are the levels of conversations you're having, the level of intimacy about your own life that you're revealing, right?
So it's a little bit
So,
of like personal boundaries. Yeah.
yes. And it's knowing yourself and where are those boundaries and what are those things that you're willing to let people into where you're starting to feel blurred. And it's also really clear communication. It's understanding. You also need to understand that you have to have on both sides of the equation the emotional maturity to
Yeah.
handle all of a sudden having this dynamic in a relationship. If you get mad at a friend over something that has nothing to do with work, but you have control over their livelihood and approving their vacation, that changes the dynamic. There's an inherent power dynamic that you can't avoid when I have control over whether or not you get your paycheck.
Yeah.
And knowing that and not trying to pretend it doesn't exist is important to acknowledge it.
So
Um,
again, open conversation, basically just having
yep,
the real conversation about look, I feel awkward, we are
yep,
friends now.
yep,
I'm in the leadership position and I would love you to know this and this and this, and of course,
yep,
when we are outside of the work, like there's nothing changing,
mm-hmm,
but I can't
mm-hmm.
act like your best friend probably in the work environment because,
Right,
it's going to be great.
right.
So I think just creating the boundaries and creating some rules
Mm-hmm.
around it, because more rules you have around that, I believe better relationship you will have, right? So you need.
Oh, yes. And I think the acknowledgement of like, yeah, it is going to feel different between us at work because
Yeah,
I'm not going to interact with you the same way that I did before I was the boss, right? Like, and everyone's watching, right? And I think the affirmation too of like, hey, if I do have a problem, because a lot of times people will take it personally. Like she feels cold, she
yeah,
feels distant, different.
yeah,
The affirmation up front that, yeah, I'm probably going to feel different, chances are it has nothing to do with you. It's just me trying to figure out this new dynamic. I will make you this promise, and this is where I'm like, emotional maturity has to exist on both sides. Like, I will make you this promise that if it is something um that is an issue and a problem, you will not, I will come to you. I will not leave you in the lurch. I will not cold shoulder you. I will let you know so you never have to guess and feel like you're walking on eggshells
yeah.
with me.
I love that.
Um, yeah.
Honestly, I think we are coming with every conversation, every topic we touch, and I love that because we come back to actually open conversation, just
Yes.
having the I would say I will call it balls, having the balls to say things
Mm-hmm.
like they are,
Yeah.
right? So just to
Yeah.
express yourself and say, yes, I feel awkward. Yes, I feel angry right now, but I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
to you about that, right? So it's not just, yeah, just turn back and go away and, try to pretend that nothing is happening or try to
Yep.
act in opposite of emotions, right? So when we actually
Right.
acting opposite way, how we actually really feel, people can see it because people feel that. People feel everything
Yep.
first before our brain interacts, and our mouth open. We actually feel each other. So we know like our body is
Yes.
smart. So I feel like that
Yes.
leadership, yeah, we coming to the point where it's, it's values, it's having the skills, having the different characteristics, understand how to communicate to people in different
Hmm.
energies or different personalities. But same
Yep.
time, we're coming back to actually just being open, just
Yes.
having the real conversation, and don't don't lead from fear, from doubt,
Right.
and from making the story up. So
Yes.
I feel like that
Yes.
major thing that I really love, because I think it's all about that, and maturity, of course, emotional maturity in the conversation.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I love what you're saying, Lacey, and I feel like I just want to go and talk all day about
I
leadership.
know.
It's like so many things that, like, I think just what we can touch, what we can talk about
Hmm.
when we talk to clients. There are so many different things they ask,
Yes.
want to know, and I think there's so much. So I will probably say that we can definitely pick up on the conversation and talk about your stories and everything what you actually experience day to day.
Yeah, I would love
But
that.
for today, I think because we are going really over time, so I would say, yeah, like let's finish with something that first thing that I would love to know what you would say to people. They still are not sure, am I a good leader? Am I a bad leader? How do I know? So what you will advise them? Like what will be the major
Mhm.
thing they can do?
A good leader doesn't lead perfectly, so let go of that expectation. What someone who's on the pathway to become truly a life-changing leader is they have a pretty good handle on if their intention is in alignment with their impact. So I intend for my people to experience me in this way and for them to feel this way about me and about themselves because of the things I'm speaking into them or encouraging their growth.
Yeah.
Is that in alignment with the impact, the reality of what's happening on the ground? And the only way we can know that is to ask. And
Yeah.
so if you are a person that's working towards getting comfortable with the uncomfortable or just knowing I'm going to lead, I'm going and lead well, I am going to have to be willing to be uncomfortable and awkward often. Um, you're if you're starting to uncover that and figure that out and not hide from it, you don't have to have it mastered, but that's a
Yeah.
good sign that
Perfect.
you're
I love.
probably a better leader than you think you are.
Yeah, love that. That was such a beautiful message. Thank you so much. And where people can find you, Lacey, how they can connect with you the best way.
Yes. Uh, I'm on LinkedIn and my name is Layci Nelson. There's not very many of me. I think I might be the only one spelled that way. So Layci on LinkedIn. And then you can find our business through that as well. And then we also are transcendleadershipcollective.com. You can go check out what we do and learn all about me and my amazing team. I don't do this by myself. I have an incredible team.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time and
Yeah.
sharing all your wisdom and experience. I really love what you share, and I love the alignment and beliefs, and what we stand for. It's very beautiful match for everything what I'm talking about in conscious leadership. So it's great to have you here. And yeah, for everyone who's listening, please just go to the description of the podcast and find all the information that you want to find and connect with Lacey. Definitely ask her questions and have conversation with her.
Please.
Thank you so
I
much,
would love
Lacey.
it. Thank you. It was great.